Elie Wiesel's Night, first published in 1956, is one of the most powerful and influential memoirs of the Holocaust. Based on Wiesel's own experiences in Nazi concentration camps during World War II, the book chronicles his journey from innocence to unimaginable suffering while bearing witness to one of history's greatest tragedies. Its honest and deeply personal account has made it an essential work of historical and moral reflection. Wiesel's literary style is simple, restrained, and deeply moving, allowing the events themselves to convey their emotional weight. Through vivid memories and quiet reflection, he creates a narrative that is both intimate and universal. The memoir explores themes of faith, survival, loss, identity, dehumanization, memory, and the resilience of the human spirit. Night remains an enduring testament to the importance of remembrance and the responsibility to confront hatred, injustice, and indifference wherever they appear. The story starts with François Mauriac remembering his uneasiness before interviewing foreign journalists, and then describing his meeting with a journalist from Tel Aviv, who is later revealed to be Elie Wiesel. As they speak, Mauriac's anxiety fades because the conversation becomes personal and serious. They discuss the Nazi occupation of France during World War II. Mauriac recalls that one of his most haunting memories comes from something his wife witnessed: trainloads of Jewish children waiting at Austerlitz station in Paris to be deported. He does not see the horror awaiting them, but the image itself destroys his faith in the idea that Western civilization is steadily progressing. Wiesel then tells Mauriac that he was one of the children in those cattle cars. Mauriac explains the power of night as a personal witness to the Holocaust. Like Anne Frank's diary, Wiesel's story gives an individual human face to vast suffering. Mauriac is especially struck by the spiritual crisis in the memoir because Wiesel's suffering shakes his relationship with God. Mauriac, a believing Christian, wants to speak about faith and mercy, but Wiesel's story overwhelms him. Instead of explaining, he embraces Wiesel and weeps. In 1941, Eliezer is a 12-year-old Jewish boy living in Sighet, a Transylvanian town recently annexed to Hungary. He is the only son in an Orthodox Jewish family. His parents own a shop, and his father is respected in the Jewish community. Eliezer has two older sisters, Hilda and Bea, and a younger sister, Tzipora. He studies the Talmud and wants to study the mystical teachings of the Kabbalah, even though his father thinks he is too young. Eliezer finds a teacher in Moishi the Beadle, a poor and gentle man in town. Soon the Hungarian authorities expel foreign Jews, including Moishi. The Jews of Sighet are angry for a short time, but then they move on. Months later, Moishi returns with a terrible story. He says that deported Jews are handed over to the Gestapo, forced to dig their own graves and murdered. The people of Sighet refuse to believe him and treat him as if he is mad. In spring 1944, the fascists take control of Hungary, and German forces occupy the country. The Jews of Sighet hope Nazi persecution will remain far away in Budapest, but German soldiers soon enter their town. Restrictions increase quickly. Jewish leaders are arrested, valuables are taken, Jews must wear yellow stars, and families are forced into ghettos behind barbed wire. The Nazis begin deporting Jews in groups, and Eliezer's family is among the last to be forced out. Before their deportation, the family is moved into a smaller ghetto. Their former servant, Martha, offers to hide them in her village, but they refuse. A few days later, the Nazis and Hungarian police forced the remaining Jews of Sighet into cattle cars bound for Auschwitz. The train journey is unbearable. The cars are packed, air is scarce, people are hungry and thirsty, and there is no room to sit. Fear and misery strip away ordinary manners. At the Czechoslovakian border, a German officer takes charge, threatens to shoot anyone who keeps valuables, and warns that everyone in a car will be killed if anyone escapes. The doors are nailed shut. Madame Schachter, a woman traveling with her young son, begins screaming that she sees fire outside the train. The others see nothing and decide she has lost her mind, just as they once dismissed Moishi. Her cries terrify them, so they tie and gag her. When she breaks free and screams again about a furnace, Some boys beat her while others approve. Later, when the train reaches Auschwitz station, prisoners are told by locals that it is only a labor camp where families will stay together. They believe this because they need to believe it. But at night the train moves into Birkenau, and through the windows they see chimneys, flames, and smell burning flesh. At Birkenau, the first selection takes place. Eliezer and his father are separated from his mother and Zipporah, whom he never sees again. A prisoner advises Eliezer and his father to lie about their ages so they appear fit for work. Eliezer says he is 18, and his father says he is 40. Dr. Mengele directs them to the left, and they do not know whether that means life or death. As they march, they see pits where babies and adults are being burned. Eliezer cannot believe such cruelty is possible, but his father says humanity no longer exists there. Many prisoners recite the Kaddish, the Jewish prayer for the dead, but Eliezer questions why he should thank God. Just before they reach the edge of the pit, their line is turned toward the barracks instead. In the barracks, the prisoners are stripped, shaved, disinfected, showered, and given prison uniforms. A Nazi officer tells them their choices are work or the crematorium. When Eliezer's father asks for the bathroom, a capo beats him, and Eliezer is ashamed that he does not defend him. Soon they march from Birkenau to Auschwitz, where they stay for 3 weeks and receive tattooed numbers. A relative named Stein asks about his family, and Eliezer lies by saying they are alive and well. When Stein later learns the truth from another transport, he never returns. The prisoners continue hoping in God even after all they have seen. Eventually they are moved to Buna, a work camp. After quarantine and medical inspection, Eliezer joins a unit that counts electrical fittings in a civilian warehouse, and his father is assigned to the same unit. They live in the musician's block, led by a kind German Jew. Eliezer meets Juliek the violinist, the brothers Yossi and Tibi, and Akiba Drumer, whose faith remains strong and who believes deliverance is near. At Buna, Eliezer is called to the dentist because he has a gold crown. He delays the removal by claiming illness, and the dentist is later condemned for illegal gold trading. Eliezer feels no pity because survival has narrowed his thoughts to food and keeping his body intact. Idek, the capo in charge of his work crew, has violent fits. One day he beats Eliezer without cause, and a French girl working nearby offers him quiet comfort. Years later in Paris, Eliezer meets her again and learns she was Jewish, but passed as Aryan with false papers. Back in Buna, Idek also beats Eliezer's father. Eliezer is horrified by what the camp has done to him, because instead of feeling anger only at Idek, he becomes angry at his father for failing to avoid the beating. Later, Franek, the foreman, demands Eliezer's gold crown. When Eliezer refuses on his father's advice, Franek beats and humiliates Eliezer's father until Eliezer gives in. Before Franek and the Polish prisoners are transferred away, Eliezer accidentally sees Idek with a woman in the barracks, and Idek punishes him with a public whipping. During an Allied air raid, prisoners are ordered into their blocks while 2 cauldrons of soup sit unattended. A man crawls toward the soup, reaches it, and is shot as he tries to eat. Later, the Nazis hang a prisoner accused of stealing during the raid. They also hang 2 prisoners suspected of resistance activity and a young boy connected to one of them. The boy dies slowly, and the prisoners, usually too numb to cry, weep. When someone asks where God is, Eliezer feels that God is hanging there with the child. At the end of summer 1944, the Jewish high holidays arrive. The prisoners gather for Rosh Hashanah, but Eliezer cannot praise God while surrounded by suffering. He rejects the idea that the Jews are chosen if being chosen means massacre. He feels alone in his rebellion, yet when he finds his father, they share a silent moment of understanding. On Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, Eliezer chooses to eat instead of fast. Soon another selection is announced. Eliezer is working away from his father and fears his father will not survive it. His fear seems to come true when his father is marked as too weak and gives Eliezer his knife and spoon as an inheritance. But a second selection saves him. Akiba Drumer, however, loses his faith, loses his will to live, and does not survive. Others also begin losing faith, including a devout rabbi who can no longer believe after what he has witnessed. Winter arrives, and the prisoners suffer in the cold. Eliezer's foot swells, and he has surgery. While he recovers in the hospital, rumors spread that the Russian army is approaching. The Germans decide to evacuate Buna before the Russians arrive. Believing patients in the infirmary will be killed, Eliezer and his father choose to evacuate with the others. Later, Eliezer learns this is the wrong choice because those who stay in the infirmary are liberated a few days later. With his injured foot bleeding into the snow, Eliezer joins the evacuation. In the darkness and blizzard, the SS force the prisoners to run, shooting anyone who stops. A boy named Zalman can no longer continue and is trampled. Eliezer keeps running because his father is near him, and they need each other to survive. After more than 42 miles, the prisoners reach a deserted village. Father and son keep each other awake because sleep in the cold means death. Rabbi Eliyahu enters the shed where they rest and searches for his son. Eliezer has seen the son abandon the rabbi during the run, but he tells the rabbi he has not seen him. Eliezer prays that he will never do the same to his own father. The prisoners eventually reach Gleiwitz and crush into the barracks. Eliezer and his father are nearly suffocated in the mass of bodies. Eliezer finds himself lying on Juliek, who later plays his violin among the dying men. When Eliezer wakes, Juliek is dead, and the violin is smashed. After 3 days without food or water, another selection takes place. Eliezer's father is sent to the condemned side, but Eliezer runs after him, and in the confusion, they both slip back to the living side. The prisoners are loaded into roofless cattle cars. They are ordered to throw out the dead bodies. Eliezer's father, unconscious, is nearly thrown out as dead, but Eliezer wakes him in time. For 10 days and nights the train moves without food, and the prisoners survive on snow. In German towns, people throw bread into the cars to watch the starving prisoners fight for it. Eliezer remembers a later moment in Aden when a wealthy Parisian woman throws coins to poor boys and enjoys watching them fight, calling it charity. On the train, an old man catches a piece of bread, but his own son attacks and kills him for it. Then other men kill the son. One night someone tries to strangle Eliezer in his sleep, but his father calls Mir Katz, who saves him. Mir Katz is strong, but even he loses hope. By the time the train reaches Buchenwald, only 12 of the 100 men in Eliezer's car are still alive, and Mir Katz is dead. At Buchenwald, Eliezer's father is near death. He sits in the snow and cannot move. Eliezer tries to make him get up, but his father only wants to rest. When an air raid alarm sends the prisoners inside, Eliezer leaves him and sleeps. In the morning, he searches for his father half-heartedly, ashamed to feel that he might survive more easily alone. He finds his father very sick and brings him soup and coffee, though part of him wants to keep the food for himself. Eliezer's father suffers from dysentery and terrible thirst. Doctors refuse to help him, and the prisoners around him steal his food and beat him. Eliezer gives him water even though it is dangerous for someone with dysentery. The block leader tells Eliezer to stop spending strength on a dying man and to focus on his own survival. Later, when Eliezer's father cries out for water, an SS officer beats him in the head. The next morning, January 29, 1945, Eliezer wakes to find his father gone to the crematory. To his shame, he feels relief instead of tears. After his father's death, Eliezer thinks only of food. On April 5th, as the American army approaches, the Nazis plan to kill the remaining Jews in the camp. Thousands are murdered each day. On April 10th, they prepare to evacuate and kill everyone left, but an air raid interrupts the plan. The resistance movement inside the camp rises up and drives out the SS. On April 11th, the American army arrives and liberates Buchenwald. Once free, the prisoners think first of food. Eliezer becomes sick with food poisoning and spends weeks near death in the hospital. When he finally stands and looks into a mirror for the first time since leaving Sighet, he is horrified by the face staring back at him. He sees not the boy he was, but the image of a corpse.